Welcome to the 5th Annual Hall of Fame dinner. And please continue eating as I talk. I just wanted to get some preliminary things out of the way. I always forget to thank my committee, and I want to do it because look at all of this. It's a lot of work. Thanks to Marty Fuller, Jane D'Entremont, Marty Hood, Dot Butler, Lucille Bork. Thank you. To my administrative assistant, Marlene, who took all your phone calls and made sure you all had a meal. I hope you all had a meal. And a seat. Marlene, thank you. For those of you who are really not sure about how the Hall of Fame fits into the Winchester Sports Foundation, I want you to know they're basically one and the same. And our theme has never changed. It's the same theme every year. And really, Joe Bellino, our first inductee, was the one who gave us this theme. You know, he said, Sam, don't just honor those who are inducted, honor the high school seniors of that given year. That way, you can honor the past, you can honor the present, with the whole purpose being ensuring a future. And Linda Sullivan, the president of the Sports Foundation, will tell you later more specifically. But would you be surprised to know that for the past 4 years, this foundation is literally responsible for putting forth thousands of dollars to support at least the entire freshman program and perhaps as much as 3/4 of the JV program of our Winchester High School athletic program. And thank you. And we as Americans know that we are a government of crisis, don't we know that? And until crisis hits, we never really kind of get together. Remember that this crisis continues every year. And we have a lot of old blood fighting hard, need a lot of new blood to help us on our way. I want to introduce some people in the audience tonight who have been such good friends of the Hall of Fame dinner and the Sports Foundation. Perhaps our greatest friend is our town moderator, who always conveniently does not schedule town meeting this night. John Sullivan. Thank you. Our town manager, Chad Mora, who is as active part of our committee as anybody is. He's as interested with all these names and dates as anybody. Thank you very much, Chad, for all your support. And our superintendent of schools, Bob Fitzgerald, many of you know, is retiring this year. And that's after a lot of years of service to this town. I'm going to guess 24. Am I in the ballpark? And not only in his position today, but all the way back to the principals of 2 elementary schools and on to working behind the scenes at times that were very critical in this town, very difficult times. This man labored hard. I bet you he wondered whether we were out there appreciating it, but we do, Bob. Thank you very much. And Kathy Bodie tonight representing the school committee, the committee to which we present our check every year. Thank you for your support. Thank you. And you can hold your applause for all these members of the Board of Selectmen who are kind enough to join us, and they do it every year. Steve Powers and Bill O'Leary and Peter Van Aken and Jerry Polcari. Thank you very much. We have 10 of our inductees from these past 4 years, or 4 years actually of induction ceremonies with us tonight. And I'm going to read their names off, and I'd love them to stand and hold your applause till they have a chance to name them all. Joe Bellino, Peter Provenzano, Joe Bonacera, Maria Montori, Bob Bigelow, Dorothea McKenzie, Virginia Nelson, Victor Lawson, Wayne Coles, and Vandy French. A special hello to Bill Barone. You all remember Dr. Barone? Where is he? He's the one who taught us all how to cough politely. Do you remember that way back? I still turn my head when I do that. You know, also on a more serious note, in memoriam this year, some individuals that we have lost, and in particular, a giant of a man in our sports history, Jim Phillips, who we all knew as Jungle Jim. Ginny Phillips is here tonight, his wife, and some members of the family, and we want you to know how fondly we remember him. And any one of you who played basketball with Jim, and I did a little bit of that, but in scrimmages, he used to dribble down the court with you as the guard, and as soon as you turned your head to see where you were heading, which I thought was pretty reasonable, you would get hit off the side of the head. That was his way of showing you, always look for a pass, but we're going to miss him. Thank you. And of course, Henry Quill, who we continue to miss on the Hall of Fame committee, one of our founders, a man who I always knew as a great ball player and a friend of my brother's, a little bit older than I. How nice it was to form the Hall of Fame committee and find that as a great result, I would come to know this man in a much more personal way. And what a very special man he was. Memory to Henry Quill. We're going to get into a film. How are we doing with the desserts? We getting them out there? Okay. Maybe we'll hold on a little bit. I want to describe to you a little bit about these films you're going to see. We thought a couple of years ago that you people prefer seeing footage as opposed to hearing an awful lot of speeches. Well, you're going to see footage tonight. And what we've done is we've compiled the highlights of the 1994-95 high school sports program. Tim MacArthur, are you out here, the high school junior, waving his hand back here? He must have 80 hours putting this together tonight. Thank you. The next time the Cable Advisory Committee meets, remember to tell them that Channel 19 does believe in community television. He does that editing at their studio. Those films are done by them, offered to us free of charge. They're here tonight filming this, and it's all for us, this community. We appreciate Channel 19 and Don Cronin and your whole staff. Thanks. The film on the high school will run a good amount of time, probably about 24 minutes. We were thinking about cutting it up for you in 2 different excerpts, but sit back and relax and enjoy it. We'll get your desserts set, and we'll show that film. Then we're going to introduce some seniors to you. We're going to move on to the Hall of Fame committee thing and try to get everybody home early tonight. Be right back with you.
Welcome to paradise. A gunshot rings out at the station. Another urchin snaps and left dead on his own. It makes me wonder why I'm still here. For some strange reason it's now feeling like my home, and I'm never gonna go. Pay attention to the crowd streets and the broken homes. Some call it some call it night. I wanna take you through a wasteland I like to call my own. Welcome to paradise. Welcome to paradise.
Gonna ride
touch the flame where the streets have no name. I wanna feel sunlight on my face. I see the dust cloud disappear without a trace. I wanna take shelter from the poison
about my higher self, but he only lives inside my brain. So what it was may have been beautiful. The pain is right now and right here. Let it go, lover. Let it go, lover. Let it go now. Let's get it back together. Let it go, lover.
Good evening. I'm only going to take a short moment of your time, but I too would like to welcome all of you here tonight as we celebrate Winchester High School's athletes of yesterday and today. There's an old saying that goes something like this: I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are so loud. Sometimes actions are good teaching tools, but I know you all have heard us because of your donations to the Sports Foundation of both time and money. I would also hope our actions are the impetus for your response. We formed as a group of parents because of budget constraints to the athletic program. This would have meant that the 9th grade sports and some JV sports would have been cut or eliminated. Because we respected and realized what a good athletic program offers to students, we've been able to raise and donate between $30,000 and $40,000 each year since 1989. This money is presented to the school committee annually to be used at their discretion, but always towards the athletic budget. Our goal has been to maintain the excellence of the athletic program and allow as many students as possible to participate. Building strong bodies and minds, learning to be a team player, dedication, hard work, learning the art of winning and losing with decorum are life lessons that we all want our children to learn. These are lessons sports can teach. But our challenge now is to spread the word to parents of younger students so they are aware of our organization and its needs. Every year we lose senior athletes, we also lose some hardworking parents. Thanks to all of you for your continuing support of our efforts. This support is ongoing as you donate to our letter campaign, our penny drives, our golf tournament, and this banquet. We've also become established enough to receive bequests in honor of relatives and friends. All of your donations, of course, are supporting the actions and efforts of the student athletes who represent Winchester so well. To the senior athletes this evening, we say thank you for the hard work and dedication you have given to your sport and for representing your school and town. You've given all of us attending these events some very enjoyable afternoons and evenings, watching you meet the challenges and allowing us to cheer you on. We all wish you much success in your years after Winchester High School. I'm sure some of you realize this, but perhaps a lot of you don't. It's because of Sam Rotundi's actions that we have this Hall of Fame dinner. He presented the idea to the Sports Foundation, he acted on it, and he brought it to fruition. He and his committee have been the energy that has run this event every year since its beginning. So Sam, from all of us, many, many thanks. Now I'd like to introduce our athletic director, Mr. Bill Colella. He will then introduce the senior athletes along with Marty Fuller. Bill has been a part of the Winchester High School for the past 32 years and the AD for the last 21 years. He will be retiring at the end of this school year. As president of the Sports Foundation, I would like to thank you, Bill, and present you with a token of our appreciation for your time spent with us, and to wish you also the very best. Bill?
Good evening, and welcome all of you to the Hall of Fame dinner this evening. I would like to thank the Sports Foundation, number one, for allowing me the honor and privilege of presenting to you our senior student athletes. Also, I would like to thank the Sports Foundation for the monies that they give to the athletic department to sustain and maintain most of our freshman programs and some of our JV programs, and keeping in line with the excellent program that we have here at Winchester High School. I would like to congratulate all the previous inductees, many of them that I know, and all the new inductees, 4 of them I know very well. Congratulations to you. It is a supreme honor to you and your families. I don't know if you know this, but Winchester has the most sports of any school in the Middlesex League. We also have one of the smallest enrollments. That translates into 2 things. One, we have quality student athletes. Many of them play more than one sport. Secondly, we have quality coaches. And before I introduce the student athletes, it will be my pleasure to introduce to you some of the coaches who are here tonight. And if I miss any, please forgive me. A former coach of soccer, Jim McConaughey. Our football coach, John Donahue. Our soccer coach, Gene Booley. My faculty manager and soccer coach on the freshman level, Jack Squalia. My former captain in 1966 and baseball coach, Bill Chase. John Pirani, our lacrosse coach. And sitting somewhere, I think, a former coach and friend, Dave Berman. I think I saw Dave, did I? Okay, Dave, you got it. I'd like to introduce some 15 years ago, we advertised for a trainer, and I recommended a female. And Donna Gildersleeve probably is one of the best trainers in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Donna, would you stand, please? I know you're here. I'd like to introduce this gentleman and give you a little bit about what his team accomplished this year. Our wrestling team was a Middlesex League champion. They were the Middlesex League meet champions. They were the Wilmington Sons of Italy champions. They were the Methuen champions. They were the Metro Sectional 2 champions. They were the Massachusetts State Division II champions. Larry Tremblay, the coach of this team, was the Middlesex League Coach of the Year, the Metro Section Coach of the Year, the Massachusetts State Coach of the Year, and the Boston Globe Coach of the Year. Larry, congratulations to you. We have 2 former coaches. These 2 gentlemen coached Donnie Allard. One came from Rochester, New York. The other came from Pennsylvania. Former baseball coach here at Winchester High School, Jackie Eidenberg. And former basketball coach who also coached Donnie Allard. All the years I've known him, and I don't know his first name, Doc Wheeler. Doc. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you what Winchester High School is all about. These people represent what is really great about our high school. And you former students of Winchester High School, although you knew it was great then, it still is great right now. Before I do that, I must say thank you and congratulations on your coming retirement to my friend, a person that's been so supportive of me all the years I've been here, Bob Fitzgerald, superintendent. Laura Alio, swimming captain, indoor track captain, outdoor track captain. She's going to University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Now, we have invited all the senior student athletes. Many of them could not be here this evening because of study or other commitments. Dan Boffo, football captain, wrestling captain, lacrosse, going to Tufts University. Nicole Bonacera, soccer, cheerleading. She's going to Bowdoin. Michelle Carpentieri, tennis captain. She's going to Miami University of Ohio. Lee Casalanova, lacrosse captain, going to Middlesex Community College. Natalie Schuler, tennis captain, all scholastic in doubles, league all-star 3 years. She's going to my wife's alma mater, Colby Sawyer. Chad Dontremont, football, basketball, outdoor track captain. He's going to Williams. Matt Donahue, football, lacrosse, going to Mount Ida College. Matt Elio, golf captain, Middlesex League All-Star in golf, baseball captain. He's going to St. Anselm. Megan Foley, gymnastics captain, 3-year All-Star. She's going to Springfield College. Katie Hood, soccer, tennis captain. She's going to Phillips Exeter Academy. Tiffany Hughes, swimming captain, lacrosse, going to the University of Dayton. Jeff Lucero, golf captain, hockey, tennis, going to Davidson College. Mike Manzo, league all-star in football, lacrosse, indoor track, going to Brown. Bobby Maroney, football, hockey captain, league all-star in hockey, going to Hebron. Danielle McCarthy, lacrosse, going to Tulane. Paul McGowan, football, hockey captain, baseball. He's going to Stonehill College. Greg Miles, football, basketball captain, lacrosse. He's going to Cornell. Mike Millerick, football, basketball captain, baseball, University of Mass at Amherst. Allison Mooney, soccer, cheerleading. She's going to St. Anselm. Stephanie Powers, soccer captain. She's going to the University of Vermont. Jennifer Rozio, lacrosse captain. She's going to Springfield College. Julie Russo, soccer captain, all scholastic in soccer, basketball captain, all league in basketball, and softball captain. She's going to Merrimack College. Rebecca Scott, cheerleading captain. She's going to UNH. Karen Shanahan, indoor track lacrosse, going to Bucknell. Sarah Stevens, soccer, all league in soccer, indoor track captain, outdoor track captain. She's going to Colorado College. Max Storgard, tennis captain, going to Haverford College. Nate Tarrin, tennis captain, going to the University of Connecticut. Mike Walworth, football, basketball, outdoor track, going to Tufts. Rebecca White, indoor track, lacrosse captain, going to Randolph-Macon College. John Worthen, wrestling captain, state champion at 140 pounds, all league in wrestling, going to the University of Vermont. I don't believe I missed anyone, did I? Okay, I would like personally to congratulate each and every one of you. You've done a good job, and we're all very proud of you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if I just may have your attention for 1 minute. At this time, I would like to say to the Winchester community, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of your lives, some of you who are students and have been graduated. I've made a lot of friends in Winchester, and I just want to thank you for letting me be part of the Winchester community for 32 years and 21 as your athletic director. Thank you.
Buckle up for the ride of your life. It's called the Information Superhighway.
Video on demand.
Cable television has been paving the way for years,
Distance learning.
offering new avenues to enrich our lives.
Interactive services.
Choose the express lane to the future. Cable television. It's the only way to travel.
We come now to the part of our induction into the Hall of Fame. Our program begins with a short film that was fun to put together. Just wonderful footage, vintage footage from a lot of different eras. And I thank a lot of people for it. I don't want to go into it now. There's so many names, and we want to move this along a little bit. There's a passage that I just read very quickly that will introduce the film very well, written by somebody who was thinking an awful lot, I hope the way you're thinking right now, back to a day. Let's sit back and reflect on familiar and sweet-scented grass as playgrounds become outlined by fans and uniformed friends transform your image of them by executing feats of skill and grace, and where teachers and coaches awaken something new and exciting within you, visions which changed you, helped define you, and which remain on the comfortable edges of your reality, easily accessible and so clearly remembered. Lights, and let's watch the film.
Day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart for every gain, to taste the sweet, I face the pain. I rise and fall, yet through it miss the tears. There's a hero if you look inside your heart. You don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can't survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love
brought a few of you back a little bit. To begin our induction ceremony, we're going to start off in no certain order, but we're going to have some special presenters you're going to find as we go through. The first presenting Frank Finnegan is Leo Callahan, the captain of the 1957 hockey team. Leo Callahan.
Before I get to my remarks, I'd just like to read a piece of correspondence that's dated today that says, "Dear Frank, please allow this old friend a moment to extend his congratulations and best wishes on your induction into the Winchester High School Hall of Fame. As a former teammate and longtime friend, I am extremely pleased and proud that this most prestigious honor is being bestowed upon you tonight. Having witnessed your team's play on many occasions and having been present the night your team won the 1955 state championship, this special evening and tribute are so deserving. Again, Frank, my sincere congratulations to you and Ann and your great family. Enjoy this moment with all of your friends as you enter this most select Hall of Fame. Best personal regards, Jack Kelly, who is president of the Pittsburgh Penguins." The measure of the man is not really found in his hockey statistics. The measure of the man is really found in how good he is at human relations, how many lives he has touched in a profoundly positive way. So I won't mention statistics or impressive credentials. I won't tell you a lot of stuff about Mr. Finnegan that you already know. I won't mention, for instance, that his teams won 167 of 251 games. And I won't tell you that his winning percentage is an enviable .675. And I won't tell you that in his 13 years as coach, his teams went to the state tournament 8 times, and that he won a state championship in 1955 and a North Shore Division title in 1957 and Middlesex League titles in 1960 and 1964. I'm not going to tell you any of that statistical stuff. Instead, I'm going to tell you some personal stuff, some human relations stuff. I first met Mr. Finnegan in the fall of 1953. I was a freshman, 14 years old, and a not-so-good football player. On that particular afternoon, I was walking off of the football field after a practice, and the JV football team was also walking off. It was quite warm that day as the two teams mingled, and I remember that it smelled like being inside one huge unwashed athletic sock. Mr. Finnegan also coached JV football, and he was on the outside of that long line as it plodded its way towards the locker room. I knew he was the hockey boss, and I wanted to let him know who I was. So I sidled up to him and I said, "Hi, Frank. How's it going, Frank? When's hockey practice going to start, Frank? Going to pick any freshmen this year, Frank? Hey, Frank, I'm your guy." I was really obnoxious. And he gently put his arm around my shoulder and he softly said, "The name is Mr. Finnegan. And stop being such a horse's neck." Now, I didn't have any trouble with him setting me straight on who he was. There was no doubt in my mind that he was the adult and I was the obnoxious kid, and that he was in charge and that I wasn't. But the part about the horse's neck really confused me. I really couldn't understand why he hadn't called me a horse's ass like everybody else. What I later came to know was that Mr. Finnegan never really had to resort to salty language. He was quite eloquent without it. He was always the gentleman, never crude, never abrasive, and he possessed this wonderful dignity. I also learned that he was really saying to me that I hadn't yet become a horse's ass, but the distance from one end to the other was really very short. And he was saying that I certainly appeared to have what it took to graduate from one end to the other. But as far as he was concerned that day, I hadn't yet graduated. In his wonderful way, he was saying there was still hope for me and that he trusted I would never make that short move. Well, I have to confess that things went fine for about a year. But in December of 1954, when I was 15, I made the move. I did indeed graduate to horse's ass. I was a sophomore, and Mr. Finnegan had picked me for his hockey team, and I played in the first 3 games. But I really suffered through those first 3 games because of a sorry pair of skates I owned at the time. 3 times I had to have brazing done to the heel post, which had broken away from the blade. And to make matters worse, my father had told me that if I wanted new skates, that I would have to earn both of them myself. Find a way, he said, and so I did on December 19th. It had snowed the night before, and the next morning I went down to the town yard bright and early to be hired as a shoveler on a snow removal crew. I figured I could skip school, earn a full day's pay, and come pretty close to owning a new pair of skates. The skates were my priority. It didn't matter that there was a hockey game that same day against St. Sebastian's at Lynn at 1 o'clock. I picked up my shovel and I reported for duty. By 4 o'clock, the crew I was working with on the side of the town hall, right across from the old Wadley building on the corner of Washington and Mount Vernon. And as fate would have it, the returning hockey team bus passed by just as I was leaning on my shovel. Nobody waved, nobody smiled. And I remember quite clearly that one bus window was entirely filled with an irate Mike Murphy. I could see veins sticking out of his neck, and I could read his lips, something about my parentage and illegitimacy. And I later learned that St. Sebastian's had won that day, 2-1. And that was our team's first loss. My timing for earning my money indeed hadn't been the best. My line mate Richie Johnson on that same day also was missing from the lineup because several days previously he had broken his wrist. When I got to school the next day, my teammate Dana Sawyer suggested that I stay away from Mike Murphy. And Mr. Finnegan sent word that he wanted to see me. He asked me why I had deserted my teammates. After I explained about the skates and about my father's ultimatum, Mr. Finnegan said he appreciated my work ethic and my ability to seize the moment to make a few dollars, but that commitment to the team, to the school, and to him should have been my priority. He didn't yell at me. He wasn't condescending, wasn't derisive. He didn't deliver a scalding lecture. He just said that big 10-letter word, commitment. And he said it in a special way, and I knew it had to be important stuff. Then he told me to turn in my uniform, and a piece of me died right there in front of him. Please, Coach, not my uniform. Sorry, Leo. At the moment, I think I would have rather have traded my collection of Kim Novak photos. God, I loved her back then. In the next 15 days, Christmas and New Year's came and went, and the team played 2 more games, both wins, and I ate my heart out the whole time. So I sheepishly went to Mr. Finnegan and I asked if I could come back. He asked me about my commitment. I said, yes, I understood that it's important and that I knew I had been a big disappointment to my teammates. Again, there was no lengthy lecture, no words or attitude that told me he was the adult and I was the kid. He just looked me straight in the eyes and he said, you can come back only if you apologize to the whole team and only if the team accepts your apology. I had never done anything like that before in my life. How was I going to face my peers and say I was sorry? But those were the terms. I would get a second chance if I met the terms. So I agreed. And for a full day I rehearsed my words, and then I finally said them out loud to everyone, and everyone accepted my apology. 2 months later, on the night of March 12th, Winchester won the state schoolboy hockey title. And I was really the luckiest kid on the face of the earth, being able to be on that team. It's a night that's now 40 years old, but in my daily memory, it hasn't aged one moment. And I have that wonderful memory today because Mr. Finnegan and my teammates gave me a second chance. In the 2 years that followed, never once did I ever hear any derisive comments about my foolhardy snow shoveling. No one ever held it against me. And Mr. Finnegan had orchestrated that forgiveness. And he showed me the value of a second chance. And he showed me that dependability and responsibility are important. And he showed me that commitment is a mighty asset. And he showed me that if you can accept the terms, then you can find the courage to face your peers. And he showed me that you don't have to castigate someone for poor judgment. He gave me a chance and a choice, and he truly has changed my life. And all of those things he gave me back then are still with me as I stand here tonight. And so the true measure of Mr. Finnegan is not really found in the accumulation of his wonderful hockey statistics. The measure of this man that we all call Coach is really in what he gave to me and to you and to every student that he taught or he coached. He really is a valuable human being, truly Hall of Fame material. And so it gives me great joy to say to all of you here tonight to witness this wonderful moment that I present for induction into the Winchester High School Athletic Hall of Fame, the coach, my friend and teacher, Francis Xavier Finnegan.
Leo doesn't mention that I only got him back on the team so that he could score those 3 goals against Belmont in that final. But, that's the nicest thing I think, Leo, I've ever heard. And that was the first time I heard that letter from Jack Kelly. I don't know where Leo got that, but I do appreciate that. I hope when the Bruins play the Penguins, I'll be cheering for the Bruins, of course, even though Jack is one of my closest friends. But thank you, Leo, for that more than generous introduction. And first, I too would like to add to that list of people who thank Sam Rotundi and his committee for not only making this moment possible for the inductees, but for what it does for the Winchester Sports Foundation, and in turn, what that means to athletics at the high school. I also would pay tribute to the other inductees, Allison and Jocko and Donnie and Manny, and congratulate all those student athletes who were honored earlier tonight and the credit they bring to our school. Finally, a fond farewell to Bill Colella, who in retiring leaves a tradition of keeping the win in Winchester. Now, many of you have asked, even tonight, what 13 years of hockey coaching was like. Well, there's a poem that answers that. It goes something like this. A man knocked on the heavenly gate. His face was scarred and old. He stood before the man of fate for admission to the fold. What have you done, St. Peter asked, to gain admission here? I've been a hockey coach, sir, he said, for many and many a year. The pearly gates swung open wide. St. Peter rang the bell. Come in and choose your harp, he said. You have served your time in hell. And seriously, when someone else asked again tonight, did you realize that whenever your teams took the ice, they were going to be winners 3 out of 4 times? And the answer is simply yes. Why? Because the answer is right out there in front of me. When I look out at so many of my former players, I can't help realize that I am here because you were there. We shared the same vision. We embraced the same goals. We celebrated the same victories. For every task we undertook, I was proud to be a member of your team. If I was able to show strength of purpose, it was through the example that you set. If I was able to make a difference, it was because you showed me the way. Those were your teams. Those were your victories. Because you made your team the best that it could be, you achieved victory after victory. You always strive to be the best. I always was aware that what you accomplished then was only the forerunner of what you would do later in life. In football in the 50s, I can still see Jocko Sirica covering 5 yards with a stride, as you saw in the film. I see a classic Joe Bellino straight arm of a Melrose player on the run that turned into a game-winning touchdown. In our first season in hockey in 1953, we won 10 games. We played the first game ever sanctioned by the school on a Sunday night by any Winchester sports team. In that game, Paul Mahoney, your local gardener, received a skate cut on his wrist, which was to be the precursor of my many trips to hospital emergency rooms for the next 13 years. I would also point out that in that first year, Dick Giacalone, woozy to most of you, made the shot of the year with a slap shot that hit me right square in the mouth, knocking out these teeth. I never saw, or possibly didn't see, as Roy Larson said, a better shot. Parenthetically, I guess maybe that's what we deserve for playing on Sunday. In '55, we won 21 games. Notice 21. That one was a significant loss. Well, notice 21 plus 1 would have been 22. And I always wanted to have an even number, not an odd number, so Leo is to blame for that. The Cinderella team, an independent team without a league affiliation, winning the state hockey title by knocking off my hometown of Belmont, supposedly the best hockey team in the state, a win for which many people there have never forgiven me. Now, on the same night, the basketball team, coached by my good and dear friend, the late Jim Phillips, won the Class B state title. That double win was a feat unprecedented and still unmatched in secondary athletics. Skating hockey cheerleaders appeared for the first time, and they were the hit of the tournament. They even wrote a song about that team, a copy of which Rita Amico Rotundo recently sent me. And if you will forgive me or even join in with me, and Rita, even though Sam said she wasn't going to do this, the first few verses went like this to the tune of McNamara's band. Okay, Rita, let's go. My name is Frankie Finnegan. I'm the leader of the team. Although we're small in number, we're the finest to be seen. We play at Lynn in Boston. Here she comes. And we're really on the ball. But when we play in Providence, I can't sing. We play the best of all.
We play at Lynn in Boston and we're really on the ball. But when we play in Providence, we play the best of all. Sawyer and Murphy on defense and Denton in the goal. Callahan and Johnson and Alger, Captain Coles. Ernst and Cousin and Circle are really on the beam. A credit to a Winchester is Frankie Finnegan's team.
There are three more verses, and they're just marvelous verses, but again, Sam is going to shoot me for that. And then talk about champions on the team. Who could forget that in '55, we had Ron Parker and George Denton, who were not only great hockey players, but would become, respectively today, the leading experts in the world on high-energy physics and the Antarctica. Two defensemen, Dana Sawyer and Mike Murphy, they actually scared, I was going to say, the hell out of the opposition, but when Leo mentioned that I never used that kind of language, I put down the blazes out of the opposition. And a truly great first line, Wayne Coles, Richie Johnson, Leo Callahan, and the dependability of a Charlie Urmson and a John Sullivan, again, your local moderator, and the backbone of the team, managers like Joe Keating and Jim Ruma, and not, of course, to mention Bill Barone, who had a heart attack at the Providence game, and he said it was because he was delivering a baby, but actually he got so excited, I think, was just so much affected by the puck. Now, in '57, Leo, then a senior, and certainly one of Winchester's great hockey players, led his team to the championship of the North Shore League and the semifinals of the state tournament. And in '58, on the strength of Steve Powers' scoring on a penalty shot against Swampscott, he caused the penalty, actually. In the North Shore playoffs, that carried us to the state semifinals against Walpole. Or the marvelous line of 60 of Bill LaMarche, Dana Kelly, and Peter Branch. We played our games at the Boston Garden. We won the first title of the newly formed Middlesex League in the last game of the regular season, beating Melrose 4-2, before what was reported to be the largest crowd that had ever attended a regular league hockey game in the country. That team was so talented that on their way to the States, we, instead of a league all-star team, were chosen to play an exhibition game against the touring champions of Canadian high school hockey, Montreal Catholic. Or the famous dynamite line of 64 with Murphy, Johnson, and Cutting as the state's #1 seed, bested by a sensational performance by the Marblehead goalie, even though we outshot them 48-6. 3 members of that team, you saw them in the film, Johnson, Cutting, and Victor Lawson, were named to the United States All-American team. And there should have been a 4th, George Murphy, who actually won the scoring title of the league that year. And that list doesn't even include the many wonderful wins of those teams led by captains Bobby McLaughlin, Bill Callahan, Tom Johns, John Cusson, the Ryan brothers, Kurt and Paul, and many of those wonderful people out there who are members of those teams. And it doesn't highlight the performance of 2 players who are already in the Hall of Fame, Victor Lawson and Wayne Coles. Now, you are well aware of their great accomplishments. Both are very special to me. I left Victor and Wayne to last, however, to emphasize to all of you that every one of you, to me, is a member of that same Hall of Fame. I also want to express my admiration for a group of my colleagues and your coaches. They're all gone now, but it was my honor to work with them for many years and to count them among my closest and dearest friends. Men of exceptional warmth, wisdom, and talent, and their loss leaves a void in all our lives that will not be readily filled. Henry Knowlton, Frank Provenzano, Ed Burns, and Jim Phillips, who died only a month ago, and I am honored that Jim's wife, Ginny, and her family are sitting out there tonight. They were people you cannot forget. They were giants among men. And for us who are left, they will continue to live in our memories and in our hearts. And again, I'd like to recognize my own sister, Arlene, my brother Joe, my brother Tom and his wife, Barbara, and all of my kids, as the teams know, went to every hockey game. My oldest son, Tom, and his lovely wife, Linda, my son, Joe, and his beautiful wife, Lisa, the mother of my 3 great-granddaughters. I guess I've got that a little bit out of focus. My 3 granddaughters, they are great. The 3 Ks, Katie, Kristen, and Kelsey, and my wonderful daughter, Nancy, and her boyfriend, Frank Seldoff. And that leaves only, of course, the light and love of my life, my wife, Ann. In closing, I want to read to you parts of a letter to me from one of you, one of my players, that keeps reminding me of what being your coach was all about. It goes like this, quote, I must confess that the hockey season of 54-55 has been with me for 37 years, faithfully, a constant companion, omnipresent. My memories are vivid. Sometimes I can smell the old Boston Arena. And every March 12th, wherever I am, I always raise an emotional glass to toast every one of us who are lucky enough to be part of that great night and that season in time. There was a time back about 15 years ago when I was reprimanded by a few of those close to me for clinging to the past. And for a brief moment, I thought I was foolish for so tightly hanging on to that season. But I came to a point where I decided I didn't want to surrender any of it. I refused to let time turn it all to dust. And so I've held on to it all, tenaciously, with nary regret for maintaining such close contact with the past. I also had moments when I suspected I was the only one who was on such intimate emotional terms with Winchester's hockey past. The only one who instantly could go through a mental rerun of it all, the games, the goals, the clutch moments when someone would rise to the occasion, the dressing room, the rinks, the bus rides. In the end, it really didn't make any difference to me if I was the only one. The only thing that mattered truly so was the memory. The memory was supreme. No one could ever take that from me. And I was a very lucky guy for being one of only a mere handful of souls who participated in it all the way back then. But recently I've discovered I'm not the only one who has those memories. When I spoke with Mike Murphy, he said things that tipped me off. He too isn't so far removed from 1955. And when I spoke to Wayne, he too recalled the games and the scores and the goals and the scorers. And when I finally made contact with Richie, I found he too is in touch with that season, that tournament, the astounding storybook quality of it all. We're all very lucky that such stuff is packed in our minds. We're all very lucky to have been part of it. I'm not sure if I ever truly conveyed to you just how thankful I am for that. Many thanks. And I offer those two words with deepest sincerity and gratitude. You gave me something for the future. As I grew older, I quickly came to know that commitment was very important. Today, I don't undertake anything unless I get committed to it. And once I commit, I see it through to the end. And so, Coach, you have played, perhaps without really knowing it, a significant role in the life of this old player. Until next our paths come to cross, cheers and best wishes, Leo Callahan, unquote. Tonight, I, Frank Finnegan, offer those same two words to all of you. Many thanks. I know that a thank you is a small reward for those who have made this moment possible. But I want to thank you for your skills. I want to thank you for your desire. I want to thank you for your caring. I want to thank you for always being there. And most of all, I want to thank you for being you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank. I think at least 6 people told me in the audience tonight that Frank Finnegan used to tutor them after school. And some of those people I know very well, and some of that tutoring made a big difference in their lives as well. This man was doing all of this with hockey as he was making our science program in our high school a nationally recognized program. So it's very special. To introduce, for induction, Manny Marshall, Joe Bonacera, a member of our Hall of Fame as of last year, and the 1968 captain of the football team, Joe Bonacera.
Good evening. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege for me, along with the Hall of Fame committee, to induct into the Hall of Fame a true legend in Winchester High School football, Coach Manny Marshall. He's a humble yet intensely focused man who lived by and taught a valuable and consistent philosophy. I'd like to share with you a quote that I feel exemplifies the man, and that was the foundation to his success at Winchester. And I quote, "If you can give a little more than the other fellows and keep on trying though you're tired, and yet make not public all your efforts, nor hold them of account to be admired. If you can dream and plan and struggle and keep on when lesser men give in. You will have learned the noble art of manhood, and what's more, my son, you're bound to win. And win is just what he did and what his teams have done for 26 years at Winchester High. He enhanced the spirit, the pride, and the tradition with that program. During his career, and I will mention a few statistics, he won 71% of his games, 6 Middlesex League championships, a Class B division championship, a Super Bowl championship. He was named the Boston Globe Coach of the Year, 3 times Middlesex League Coach of the Year. He was in the Mass Coaches Association as a Hall of Famer, and also in his high school. And the list goes on. If I go any further, he'll be more embarrassed. To be a successful coach, one must also be a skilled motivator. Coach Marshall knew how to motivate his players to achieve their maximum potential. In support of his motivational skills, I'd like to share with you some comments from his former players. Dennis Clark, who was a captain in 1986, had the following comments. He's a skilled motivator who knew which players needed a kick in the pants or a pat in the back. But most importantly, we knew he cared about us as people. Tobin Harvey, 1967. All he asked for was a total effort, and he most always got it. He was tough, but not mean. He was a coach you respected and wanted to work for. The next comment is not from a player, and I feel like I have to mention it, and it takes a little bit of time here, but it's from a kindergartner at the Morocco school. And his comment about his gym teacher is as follows. I like Mr. Marshall because he's nice and he lets us play games and have fun and run around. He shows us how to do a lot of gym things. If we get hurt, he helps us. And he brings us to the nurse. I like it when Mr. Marshall has us race as fast as we can to play cranes and crows. We never played that one. Now, if you're doubting whether I'm commenting about Mr. Marshall, maybe this next comment from Sam McElhenney will convince you that it is him. Sam's last comment was, I never knew I could do so many jumping jacks. All right. More important than coaching was Mr. Marshall's ability to educate his players and the people that he's associated with. Donnie Allard, class of 1978 and also a Hall of Fame inductee this evening, had the following to say. Teaching football is easy, but educating young people is the real challenge of a high school coach. He was an educator who taught us how to prepare and practice for the challenges we all find worthwhile in life. This lesson has served me well throughout my career. Bruce Schwartzman, 1985, offensive tackle. He taught that winning does not solely equate with success, but rather what counts most is how that success is achieved. As players, we all know that the secret of Winchester football was not something found in the water. It was hard work, it was determination, pride, and the dedication of a legendary coach. Coach Marshall, on behalf of the players and everyone associated with Winchester Athletics, we want to thank you for what you've done and to come on up and receive this honor.
Thank you, Joe. I broke my glasses, so you're going to have to excuse me. I'd like to begin by congratulating the other inductees this evening and to thank those who nominated me for this honor. And also congratulations to the Winchester Sports Foundation for taking the time to support the athletes of Winchester. I want to set the record straight, Joe. You mentioned the fact that the Mass Coaches Association Hall of Fame and being inducted into my high school Hall of Fame. Last Friday, I was inducted into Morocco Hall of Fame as well. The one difference, Sam, is the fact that they sang songs, presented all kinds of booklets with some great sayings. I was never so embarrassed in all my life. And in the frame of setting the record straight, I don't believe in 23 years, 26 with the 3 years at McCall, that I ever won a football game. I lost some, but I don't believe I ever won one. Tonight really, indeed, is a very special night for me, for a number of reasons. First of all, following Henry Knowlton into the Hall of Fame is a tremendous honor to me. Coach Knowlton, and we call him Coach, was a great gentleman. I was very fortunate in following him as a football coach at Winchester High School, and now following him into the Hall of Fame. And being presented by Joe Bonacera. Joe was captain in '68 in our first Middlesex League championship. And I probably should say that Joe was really a very good football player, hard running, very elusive. The one tackle he couldn't elude was the one by Marlene. Being inducted with Donnie Allen is a great, is another reason that tonight is especially special for me. Donnie truly was a heck of a football player, a young man with a lot of heart, and we're very proud of the success that he had at Harvard. I don't know if Donnie remembers the night that we met out at Manchester Field before your senior year, and Donnie was down in the dumps a little bit about not getting enough playing time, and we had a talk, and I told you the cream always rises to the top, Donnie. And to Jocko Sarica, I know we don't know each other that well, but when I came to Winchester and started at McCall, the first person I met was Jocko Sarica Sr. And we became very good friends. There are people that you meet that you just like instantly, and he was one of them. And then what was interesting, that later on, years later, that I would coach his grandson, John Sarica. And Frank Finnegan. When I was at Winchester, I coached gymnastics, I coached track, and I coached hockey, Frank. Do you remember that? I came in '64, and in the spring of '65, Frank asked me if I would be his assistant hockey coach. I said, Frank, I don't know anything about hockey. I'll teach you all you have to know. Fine. That summer, Frank becomes the head of the science department and is no longer coaching. And I'm coaching a JV hockey team, and I don't know the first thing about hockey. And last is very special tonight because I'm sharing this with my family, who I really, very, very special to me. My son Frank, my son Stephen, my daughter Wendy, and her husband Paul, my son Mike, and his fiancee Krista, and last but not least, my wife Peggy. You know, when you're away from home, when you're coaching 3 sports and you're away from home just about all the time, someone has to take the reins and do a great job, and she did a great job with our children. On a night like this, it really is very difficult to truly express your feelings. Especially when you're being honored for something that you really love doing. It's a very humbling thing. When I started at McCall in '64, I replaced 2 legends, Henry Knowlton and Mickey Merling, as a phys ed teacher, and I applied for the head job when Coach Knowlton was retiring. I really didn't expect to get it. I felt very fortunate that I did get it. I was coming into a program with a great deal of tradition. I was blessed with two great athletic directors, Henry Knowlton and later Bill Colella, and believe me, their aid was tremendous. And obviously, it's impossible to coach football by yourself. Absolutely impossible. And the thing that you have to do is surround yourself with great assistants. And I had them. They were teachers and they cared. And last but not least, I really had some great players. And when I talk about good people, I really believe that you win with good people. And I don't mean just good athletes, but good people. And Winchester had them. I want you to understand that in 26 years of football, I never really took myself too seriously as a coach. The responsibility for the young men under my care, I took very, very seriously. I think what I miss most is the fun of being with the players and sharing the joy of a job well done. And also at that time, believe me, when you're coaching football, my wife can tell you jump up in the middle of the night and write something down on a pad. And then also I had the ability at that time to think of a lot of things all at once. Now I can only think of one thing at a time, and I usually forget it. And what I've left with is some great memories and some great stories. And people ask me, what was my favorite team? I think what you have to understand is the fact that they were all unique. And from a coaching standpoint, it wasn't just being 9-0 or 10-0. I can remember a particular year when we were 5-4-1 was one of the most satisfying years that we've ever had as coaches. Remember John Donnie, you and I were talking about that. And great satisfaction in the way that they turned out. With the realization of all those who made tonight possible, on behalf of my family, assistant coaches, and most important, the players that I've had, I accept this honor and I will cherish it forever. Thank you.
Build this megaplex with a mega-sized dome and not have a team to play inside it. But they can be competitive because they do have a co-op where they can buy the drugs at the same.
Gas stations, a lot of them now are also convenience stores. They sell a lot of products.
Well, I guess I glorified that a little.
To present Allison Hersey Reish, he is the director of the physical education and health education here in Winchester, a graduate of this high school, and someone who has been dedicated to young people in this town for years. Jan Dolan.
I'd like to congratulate and thank the members of the class of 1995, who represented Winchester High School. Manny, it's about those things you keep forgetting. But who represented Winchester High School in interscholastic sports. And through their efforts and those of their coaches and their parents, the rich tradition of sport, which started in the early 1900s at Winchester High School, continues today. I congratulate Jocko, Donnie Allard, and to my good friends and colleagues, Frank Finnegan and Manny Marshall. It's my honor tonight to present our next nominee to the Winchester High School Hall of Fame, Allison Hersey Reish, class of 1954. In the Abijona, which is the high school yearbook, it was said of Allison, athlete supreme. And what prophets they were. Because as good and outstanding as Allison was in high school, in the next 20 years, Allison gained recognition as a world-class athlete. She was a member of 11 United States field hockey teams and a member of 11 United States lacrosse teams, and 3 of those teams she was elected captain. She represented our country in Germany, in Holland, England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Amsterdam, and of course here in the United States. Allison was elected to the United States Field Hockey Association as a charter member. As I look at this evening's audience, I realize that some of you at least were around in the early 50s, which incidentally was a wonderful time to be growing up in Winchester. But historically, this was before the emancipation of women athletes. That federal regulation known as 622, a mandate that young women athletes will have the same opportunities to participate in sports that young men athletes had enjoyed for decades. And so in a climate that did not pay much attention to athletic competition for young women, how did Allison achieve all that she did? Well, as a youngster, she was involved in all kinds of physical activities, and she'd try anything, particularly if it was a challenge. And she seemed to succeed no matter what it was. But Allison, it's about that rodeo championship that your sister Althea told me about. That was a new one for me. As a student at Winchester High School, Allison played every sport that she could: field hockey, basketball, tennis, and softball. And in her senior year, she was captain of the field hockey team. Now, before you think she was perfect, I must tell you that her tennis backhand was suspect. The form looked good, but the execution was awful. And I hope, Allison, you've spent some time working on that. Now, during these early years, Allison had some strong influences in her life. Her parents, Lois and Brad Hersey, were strong supporters of Allison and of so many other Winchester kids. And it was people like the Herseys who helped make Winchester such a great place to be a kid. And Helen Carroll Pratt, class of 41, who was here this evening, Helen was teaching and coaching at Winchester High School during Allison's freshman, sophomore, and junior years. Helen, a truly remarkable individual, influenced Allison and so many others in such a positive and wholesome way. And Mildred Bonds, who coached Allison in her senior year, and Millie eventually became one of the major authors of teaching and coaching publications in the country. And following high school, Allison attended Northampton School for Girls and then Mount Holyoke College, followed by a master's degree at Tufts University. But in order to continue her interest in athletics, even at this prestigious college, Mount Holyoke, she had to make her own opportunities, since organized competition for sports was just plain not available. She joined the Hampshire Field Hockey Association, and this probably was a major stepping stone that led Allison to her extraordinary career as a field hockey player. And then she discovered lacrosse. And what a match, Allison and lacrosse. Speed, action, spontaneity, minimal rules, no boundaries. That was an Allison delight. We saw the video showing Allison playing in some field hockey games, but I wish you could have seen her cradling down that lacrosse field, full speed ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, it was awesome. Well, that's a little bit about Allison's background, and here's a little bit about Allison. For many years, I've had a chance to observe athletes as a player and as a coach and as a spectator, and some have impressed me with their speed, some with their accuracy, some with their timing, some with their intensity, some with their game sense, some with their competitive spirit, and some with their sportsmanship. But I know of no one athlete who had each of these qualities to the degree that Allison had. She was, as her classmates said in 1954, athlete supreme. In her senior year, Allison was awarded the Mansfield Wheeler Cup, presented to an outstanding athlete who exemplified superior sportsmanship. And just as her athletic abilities matured into greatness, so too did her sense of sportsmanship. In all the occasions I have observed Allison in competition, it was clear that she was playing the game as it should be played, and for the reason it should be played, for the love of the game. And always she celebrated the tradition of sport, and always she respected her teammates and her opponents, and always Allison gave the message, I'm playing this game because I love to play it. I think Allison would agree that in that atmosphere of the 50s, something very special happened. On fall afternoons at Ginn Field with the cracking sounds of field hockey, or in the tiny gym at the now Lincoln School where the girls had half of the gym for half of the time for basketball practice, and then back to Ginn Field for softball. I don't know what it was, but Allison and many others gained a lifelong perspective on the wonders of sports. Well, today, Allison and her husband Al and their sons Jacob and Matthew live in Madison, New Hampshire. Allison has been a ski school director and an instructor at Ascutney, at Loon Mountain, at Wildcat Mountain, and King Pine. And today she continues to ski the most difficult trails with perfect form and, yes, full speed ahead. She officiates in field hockey and lacrosse on the NCAA level, as well as nationally and internationally. And I'm so glad that many youngsters at Kennett High School have the benefit of her coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and my pleasure to present for induction into the Winchester High School Hall of Fame from the class of 1954, Athlete Supreme, my good friend, Allison Hersey Reisch.
I certainly didn't know that was coming, I'll tell you. This whole event, I have no notes, and I'm going to just speak to you from the heart what has been on my heart since this whole occasion was presented to me. And I hope it covers what I do feel, because in looking over this crowd, because I'm still involved very closely with the high school age level of through my umpiring, and it was wonderful to see all of you young athletes come up here and be recognized. This is what Winchester does for you. It did for me too, because it was a base from which everything developed. We are given, when we are born, with gifts, and I was given some great gifts. I was given tremendous. I was able to run like I just ran fast. Like, not as fast as Forrest Gump, I don't think, but but I could run fast, and that was an advantage, as Jan said, in lacrosse. But we are given gifts, and then it is up to us with what we do with them. I was also blessed with a wonderful family, as Jan mentioned. Very, very supportive family, parents, who gave me all of the opportunities that any young athlete needs to pursue their potential. And it is with great gratification that I thank those gifts that were given to me. And then to be born and live here in Winchester, and to have the advantage of the athletic program. And as Jan said, we didn't know it back then in the 50s that we were underprivileged. We had a wonderful time playing. We had the superb coaching. And I do want to recognize Helen Carroll Pratt again. She said she would never come again if I did it. But she should be recognized because she exemplified to me what you've heard here tonight from all the coaching. what Winchester supplies through their coaches to their students. And it is a tremendous and wonderful foundation, and I really am very impressed that all of you come out year after year to support and keep this base going. As I said, I'm still involved with the high school level, and everywhere I go, I hear cutback. We can't do this. We've got to cut out this program. And it is so important that we expand the program, that we enlarge, that we include, and we get as many young people involved in sports, because it is such a tremendous foundation to develop a whole life from. And that's what sport is, and it was for me. It's a continuous growth. And when this opportunity came up, it began to bring back memories. I've got so much going on in life that I'm always looking forward to whatever is going on next, and you don't often reflect back. But it is important to reflect back and to think. And then seeing that video, my mind said I could still do that. I could still play like that. And I just feel that if I ever get out on the field and someone gave me a stick, I could probably run just as fast and do just as well. I know the body wouldn't agree, but one of the folks at the table said, "Why do they make the hockey sticks so short? Why do people have to bend over?" And I said, "I don't know, but I know they're getting shorter every year." So, but be that as it may, life is a journey, and we do start from the base and the gifts that we're given, and we move forward. And in my life, as you've heard from Jan, it has always been involved with sports through my playing, and I've done a lot of coaching. I had a wonderful life for about 10 years while I was doing all this playing. I went down to Philadelphia and coached at Germantown Friends School there in the hockey season, played in Philadelphia because that's where the hotbed was. Then I came north and taught skiing, would pack up my car and drive north and find a house, and that's where Jan and I had wonderful times together, because she would come up on the weekends and share the house. And then in the spring, I would come back here in Winchester to my sister, who is now living in our home on Woodside Road, and she would take me in, she and her husband would take me in, and then I coached at Beaver Country Day School and coached lacrosse. And so it's been an ongoing process of this. And now I've given up the coaching and I'm still umpiring. But what I'm looking forward ahead to, and I feel like I'm coming back to the cycle again, is now I have 2 young boys in high school. I have Jake, who's a junior and is on the soccer team and skiing, ski jumper, and he played baseball, went through the Little League, and my younger son, Matt, is baseball, soccer, ski jumper. And so now I've rolled it over, and now I'm back again at high school level. And I just would say, I think, to you young players, you young athletes, take this base that you've gotten here at Winchester, do with it what you can, and realize that you are the center of the pebble that's been thrown into the water. And as you radiate out your experiences and your exposures and what you've learned, you in turn can spread this out to other people. And I look at Jan, and I know the years that she has given to Winchester, and think of the many thousands of lives that she has influenced. And Helen the same way. And I am a direct influence from their leadership. And I feel that I have spread my rings out. And I hope that you young kids will also spread your rings out. And keep with the sport. Keep sharing it in whatever way you can, but stay with it, because to go back to the basic tenets of sport, as Frank has said, and Manny, it just cannot be replaced in any other aspect of life. And I guess I'll like to thank the foundation for presenting this. I am a little far out. I come back to Winchester because of Alfie, who's here in Winchester. And I am out there in the out country, but it is wonderful to come back and see a lot of old friends. And I too would like to recognize my family who's here, because as I said before, we've always grown with a supportive family. And my brother is here, who is a graduate from Winchester High School, Elliot, and my sister Alfie with her husband Bob, Shirley, who is probably one of my most loyal supporters. In fact, he claims credit for me being here tonight, and I thank him for that. And my sons are here, Jake and Matt, and I have two nephews with their wives. So it's wonderful to be here with all of you. Keep up the good work. I wish that more communities throughout the country would do this, because this is what we need to keep our country moving forward and to get by some of these things that our young folks are facing. And I thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Allison. She wanted me to tell you that she didn't mention her husband. To introduce Jocko Sirica into the Hall of Fame is a graduate of Winchester High School, a superb athlete in his own right, captain of the 1959 baseball team, a great football player as well, went on and had a great career after that as well. And he also happens to be Jocko's brother, Danny Sirica.
It's tough to get old. I first want to congratulate all this year's Hall of Fame inductees. I think it's a terrific honor, and it's obviously well-deserved. Our family has lived in the north end of Winchester for many years. It was a great neighborhood to grow up in, full of proud, hard-working families and close friends. Many Winchester High athletes honed their skills as kids at the Old Noonan School and Loring Avenue fields. Jocko happened to be one of them, and an exceptional one at that. My big brother was bigger than life to me. He was someone I always wanted to emulate. When he went to Winchester High School, he became a three-sport athlete, playing varsity football, hockey, and baseball. He was a big, strong, fast, and graceful running back, as you saw in those films. A strong-arm, power-hitting catcher and outfielder in baseball, and a rugged defenseman. In 1951, Jocko's junior year, the Winchester High School football team was 10-0 and won the Class B state championship. In discussions with many old-time football fans from Winchester who have watched the game for years and years, they say this team may have been the best ever. Just one anecdote to illustrate Jocko's dominance as a football player was the fact that during his senior year, he scored 20 touchdowns and also threw 6 touchdown passes as a halfback. The 1951 and 52 hockey team, which was just developing, he played on, and that team went undefeated. In baseball, Jocko hit long home runs into the parking lot, threw base runners out with his rifle arm, and his blazing speed helped win many baseball games. I once saw him as a kid get on first base and proceed to steal second base, third base, and home. As a result of his athletic endeavors, I came to know some fine athletes in Winchester, names such as Griffin, Donlin, Bellino, Thompson, Mahoney, Atkinson, Flaherty, Carroll, Diorio, Giacalone, Taylor, many others. I was thrilled to know them as a kid. I looked up to them all. I watched these terrific players win scores of baseball, football, and hockey games. Back then, the stands were always full. Family, friends, and neighbors gathered to cheer on their sons. It was a delightful town. Even though Jocko had an opportunity to sign a baseball contract upon graduation, he entered college on a football scholarship. After 3 stellar years at Xavier University in Ohio, he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Unfortunately, a severe head injury prevented what could have been a successful career in professional football. He decided at that time, after looking at sales and some other areas, to become a teacher coach and to work with young people to give back to students what he had been given by coaches Knowlton, Bartlett, Provenzano, Finnegan. He spent 30 years in the Concord, New Hampshire high school system as a social studies teacher and a coach of football, hockey, and baseball. He coached state championship teams in both football and baseball. I have many fond memories of my brother. I remember how he took a 12-year-old who had just lost a state Little League championship game and made a miserable day a happy one by surprising him with a new 3-speed Raleigh English bike. In those days, 3-speed were really something. I also remember as an adult visiting him at Concord High School and walking through the hallways with scores of kids yelling at him, "Hey, Mr. Sirica, how's it going?" I was really impressed. He was obviously a very popular teacher. The principal told me that no teacher in that school related better to his students than Jocko. I was very proud to hear that. My family and I are very proud of Jocko as an athlete, but even more importantly, as a good human being. This is a great honor for him, and it's certainly a great honor for me. I'm thrilled to introduce my brother as an inductee into the Winchester Sports Hall of Fame. Please welcome Ed Jocko Sirica.
Now I really know my brother loves me. It's a great pleasure for me to be here tonight. I've always loved Winchester High School and the town of Winchester. It has done a lot for me growing up. And, excuse me. And I want to give thanks to the Hall of Fame committee for what they're doing and for my honor tonight. I would like to congratulate the inductees, especially Mr. Frank Finnegan, who I thought very highly of as a friend, a teacher, and a coach. I'd like to thank Steve Powers for putting me up here tonight, along with Bobby Taylor, Al Samoiloff, Kevin Mon, Brian McCormick, Jay Robinson, and Ken Binding. I would feel a little remiss tonight and very unhappy if I could not share this great honor with some people who have put me here. First and foremost, my dad, who taught me that family above all, faith and education were important. To my mother, who used to pour holy water on my football shoes. I never realized why they were so damp on Saturday afternoon, and found out years later what she was doing on Friday nights. And I guess it worked, Mom. I love you. To my brother Danny, and to my sister Mary, who fought most of my battles for me when I was a little kid. She never let anybody hit me because she'd go right after them. So I was well protected growing up. So in tonight's award, as I said, I would like to share it with these people. And I'd like to share it with those ball players, my teammates of the 1950, 51, and 52. For those that are not here yet and will be here, I'd like to share it with them. I remember being with some great guys. I remember Moose Bellino, 117 pounds soaking wet and would tackle a freight train. I remember Jimmy Griffin and punting the ball 65, 70 yards, and you never saw a perfect ball going into the air. And Joe Donlin really creaming people on defense. He had a wing spread like an eagle. He was just devastating. And when he hit you, you knew you were hit. But he always said, "Are you okay?" I'd like to really thank where I came from, and I guess that's what it's all about. As I have gone on through life, my 61 years, I have learned to never forget where you come from. And I say that to the students tonight at Winchester High School, whatever you do, don't ever forget where you came from. It's most important. I share this with the North End. Many people in the North End who taught me to be a gentleman, to be tough mentally, morally, and physically. The McHughes, the Swimers, Babe Oliver Doty, all of these people played a very important part in my life and growing up. And I'll always cherish that because they were wonderful people. So don't forget where you came from. Many great ball players come out of the North End that Henry Knowlton was very happy to have. Big Skitch Carroll, Paul McGowan, Paul Amico, Big John Stevenson, and the list goes on and on and on. My hero as a boy was a famous football player by the name of Sammy Bellino. I idolized him. I always wanted to be like Sammy Bellino. And to him, I share this award until he comes and receives an award like so. To the cheerleaders, being a football coach, I know that cheerleaders are a very important part of football teams. They play a very important part, believe me. And to the 1950, 51, and 52 cheerleaders, I dedicate and share this award with. And especially to one co-captain of the 1951 cheerleading squad, Dorothy Ann Lazaro Sirica. My wife, a courageous, beautiful lady who died of cancer in 1986. And I share that or this with her. And I know she's looking down tonight. To another friend, my best friend in high school, John DiOrio, who at times I don't know what I would have done without the great John DiOrio. He was a classic, and I shall never forget him. I share this award with him tonight, and I know he's looking down on me tonight. To my Uncle Jack, my biggest fan, who always was at the games, always met me afterwards, and always gave me some friendly advice. To my sons, Stephen, Michael, my stepson, Billy Gagan, and my lovely new granddaughter, Caroline Ann Sirica. I share this award with them tonight. To my beautiful wife, Kathy Gagan, whom I love very dearly, and whom life has been wonderful and pleasant for me, and has rekindled a love that I had lost. Once again, my teammates, I can't say enough about them, because I would not be here tonight if it wasn't for them. I can remember and reminisce back to how Obie O'Brien and I used to sing Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered before each game. And that was a classic. I can think of Tony Caruso yelling out to get tough, get tough. And I guess, last but not least, I have a friend in Mashpee who has seen me through some tough times. Joe Lynch, I thank him and I share this with him. And to my cousins, the O'Connells, the O'Connors, the O'Briens, the Lazaros, the Sheffilos, who without them, I would not be here tonight. I consider myself, and I shall cherish this until the day I die, I consider myself tonight the luckiest man in the world. Thank you.
To present, and by no reason do we ever give the last inductee anything but the same we give the first, because this last inductee is a special fellow as well. And, you know, growing up in this town and being in this Hall of Fame is a labor of love for me for a lot of good reasons. Because when I see Frank Finnegan, he coached me and taught me. But my son that I brought up here was coached and taught by Gene Booley. So I've seen this program in a lot of different perspectives. The old neighborhood we talked about turned into a new neighborhood when the land my father gave me became my new house with my new wife. And guess who moved into that neighborhood with us? The Allards. And young Donnie and young Chuck, with a tennis racket in one hand and a football in another and a baseball in another. I watched these kids grow, and it's hard for me to believe that I'm going to introduce Chuck Allard to introduce his brother Donnie, because they can't be that old. But I'm going to do it anyways. A great athlete in his own right, a graduate of Winchester High School in 1983, a captain of the football team and baseball team, and a terrific career after that, Chuck Allard.
You know that feeling following a guy that just hit a grand slam? This is it. This is it. First of all, I'd like to congratulate everybody else, all the other inductees. And a few years ago, I was updating my resume when I was searching for a job. And I looked for a copy of my brother's resume to kind of guide me in my search. And it reads something like this. Activities and awards. Winchester varsity letter winner 8 times. Captain 4 teams, football, baseball, basketball. Middlesex League MVP in baseball. Global Scholastic, baseball. All-League football and baseball. McDermott Award winner at Deerfield Academy for the school's best student athlete. All New England in football at Harvard. All Ivy League in baseball and football. Second in votes for Player of the Year. Harvard's single-season total offense record. Single-game passing record. Career home run record. Chevrolet Player of the Game. The Frederick Greeley Crocker Award for Harvard's most valuable player on the football team. The William Bingham Award for Harvard's most outstanding senior athlete. Now, forgive me, Donnie, I probably forgot a few, but Sam tells me I have to limit this to, what, 35 minutes, Sam? Okay. Special interests or hobbies? Sports. That was a no-brainer, I think. This is really not his resume. His actual resume simply reads, quote, Bachelor of Science in Economics, Harvard University, 1983. Please hire me anyway. Awards, records, and stats were not the reason Donnie played sports. The spirit of sport, the competition, is why he played. Every time he stepped on that field, you knew that he was going to give every ounce of his ability to beat you in any way he could. Whether it was a triple option keeper, slipping tackles for a 25, 30-yard gain for a crucial first down, a home run on an 0-2 pitch to tie a baseball game, or throwing a perfect strike to the back end of an end zone to cap one of the most memorable comebacks in Harvard football history. But what I admired most and respected most about Donnie was his dedication, work ethic, and his desire. It began with a wood crate when we were both very young. A wooden crate, you might remember this, we kept in our cellar closet. And it was filled with just about every piece of sporting equipment you could think of, every conceivable sport. Wintertime, he'd rush home from school as fast as he could, halfway naked before he even got to the house, put on his skates, grab a bite to eat, and run down the street in his skates to the pond where he'd skate until dark, and even after dark. He'd come home with his toenails falling off, but it didn't slow him down, didn't deter his excitement one bit. In the fall and spring, Mary Lou Shattuck can attest to this. Donnie would come home from school, go over to the Shattocks, practice his foul shots. Again, all hours of the night, even when the Shattuck boys had gone in, Donnie was out there. Mary Lou would put on the spotlight for him, and he'd continue shooting. And then my dad put a backboard up in our driveway, and we had made the mistake of owning a white house. So every time he'd drive home from work, at the end of the day, he'd look up at the side of the house and have big brown spots. Nowhere near the backboard. During high school, he would refuse to visit colleges that were prospective and colleges that wanted him to come and play for him. But he refused to go and visit them because he was afraid that he'd miss a practice or a game. But the best example I can give to describe Don's dedication is during his football career at Harvard. He had enjoyed a great deal of success with the freshman team and was looking forward to continuing that success at the varsity level. However, there was a heavily recruited quarterback from California who stood in his way. It was difficult for an athlete, as any athlete can attest, who has started on every team that he's ever played on, to be relegated to part-time duty. But he bided his time and kept the charts until the opportunity knocked at the start of his senior year. Don came into the first game of the season and rallied the Crimson to their first victory of the season. The following week, he made his first start against the heavily favored UMass Minutemen. He proceeded to shatter the single-game passing record with 359 yards while leading Harvard to another win. With the help of some outstanding performances from Don, Harvard went on to win the Ivy League championship that year. Dedication, hard work, and desire are what made Don successful in the sports that he participated in, and it has made him successful in life. His beautiful wife, Margaret, and their son, Jack, are testimonial to that. So having reviewed his resume to help in my job search, I came away with one important thought. I hope we don't ever go for the same job. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Donnie Allard, my brother, for the Winchester High School Sports Foundation Hall of Fame.
No, I think I have my own here. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, and members of the Winchester High School sports community. First of all, I'd like to thank Sam Rotundi and the election committee, but I'm not sure I'll ever forgive him for putting me last on tonight's group of speakers. They were both thoughtful and eloquent. I'd also like to congratulate tonight's other inductees. It is not only an honor for me to be elected to the Sports Hall of Fame, but a privilege to share this evening with such a distinguished group and their families. It is also especially meaningful for me to share this evening with Coach Marshall, who I had the pleasure to play for throughout my 3 years of high school. I'd like to make special mention of the two people that organized my nomination, Chuck Allard, my brother, and Rick Pearl. Chuck, who in his own right was a WHS star, Chuck went on to become one of the most prolific hitters in Northeastern baseball history. And in 3 weeks, Chuck will enter a new era of his life when he marries Christine Walton. Our family welcomes Chris, and we look forward to the celebration. Rick Pearl and I played basketball together throughout junior and senior high school. As a matter of fact, Rick started his journalism career when, as a member of the Winchester High basketball team, he would play in the varsity game and then write it up before the deadline. If any high school athlete ever had a press agent, I did in Rick Pearl. I would like to acknowledge at this time the family of the late Whitey Allard. My Aunt Ann, my cousins Bill, Ron, Donald, Cindy, and Kenneth. My uncle and godfather Whitey provided great inspiration and was very instrumental in my early interest in baseball. Whitey, as many of you know, was the dean of collegiate umpires, baseball umpires that is, as well as a football official, before he died in 1980. Although he never did get to see me play college baseball, I always felt his presence, and I know he would have loved to have been here tonight. I would also like to thank for their love and support all the members of my family, Sue and Doug Thompson, Chuck and Chris, and my sister Terry. They're my biggest fans and always have been. My parents deserve so much of any credit or reward I have received. They have always provided a wonderful role model for life. I respect and admire them for their commitment to each other and their dedication to their children. I would also like to thank my wife, Margaret, for the love and guidance she has brought to my life. And I also want to recognize her for being a wonderful mother to our son, Jack. She reminds me each and every day of how to be a good parent. When Sam called me to let me know of my election, it gave me the chance to reflect on my sports career since I left Winchester High School. Since that time, I've had the opportunity to go to Harvard and play football in a first-class program which has a unique but ideal perspective on the role of athletics at the collegiate level. I had the opportunity to play quarterback for Joe Restick, perhaps the most progressive coach in the game. I had the opportunity to play with championship teammates and for a championship team. And looking back, I can say that I worked very hard to make these goals become accomplishments of which I am very proud. I also had the opportunity in college to play baseball for 4 years for a coach named Alex Nahijian. Alex was a superb baseball coach and one of the most successful coaches in New England college coaching history. Our teams went to the New England Regional Finals 2 of my 4 years, only to lose to Maine and miss out on an opportunity to go to the College World Series. After graduation, I had the opportunity to return to Harvard as the head coach of the Harvard freshman football team. The experience was incredibly rewarding as I was able to make an impact on the lives of student athletes in much the same way that coaches have positively impacted my life. Tonight's event also gives me the opportunity to reflect on my days at Winchester High School. I have to admit that it's difficult to recall the games, but the teammates and the coaches I'll never forget. I have 2 very close friends, Michael Cavaretta and Keith Perkins, who have never let my success go to my head, because they know that although they came to watch me play in the Yale Bowl and in Harvard Stadium and Fenway Park, I'm still the same kid who learned how to hit wiffle balls in the Cavaretta backyard and throw touchdown passes over parked cars with Keith Perkins. I'm reminded of friends like John Delagrati. John was one of the most competitive people I'd ever played with or against. Dello and I got our first taste of winning, and we liked it, when we played for Dave Berman's McCall Junior High School undefeated football team. Dello and I eventually became football tri-captains our senior year with Wayne Maggio. Wayne was small, but he was extremely slow. Actually, Wayne was the team's glue, and every successful team I've ever played for had a Wayne Maggio on that team. When I came to high school, I joined a nucleus of upperclassmen basketball players, which Coach Doc Wheeler led us to a couple of trips to the state tournament. I don't have time to recount them all, but I'll always remember 2 huge wins against Lexington and Burlington in a packed gym, just like the days that Jocko Sirica recalled and others tonight. I'll also never forget the hundreds of trips to schoolyards, gyms, for practices and games that John Waite and I shared from 5th grade until graduation. For these 3 years of high school, this winter season always turned into spring and brought certain reward. Playing baseball for Jack Eidenberg and the cast of characters associated with Winchester High School baseball was truly unforgettable. In my first year, one of my great thrills in sports was, as a sophomore, getting to bat third in a lineup with my cousin Don Allard batting fourth. Jack was a great coach and really knew the game. In my sophomore year, when I was in college, right around the time Jack had left the Winchester school systems, I found him one day in the stands at Princeton after one of our doubleheaders. I was really struggling at the plate at that time, sweating through every at-bat. After the game, Jack, my dad, my mom went out to a local restaurant, and Jack just reminded me to have fun, attack the ball the way he knew that I could. From that point on, I just visualized Jack Eidenberg's perfect batting practice pitches, and I started crunching the ball for 3 years. More importantly, Jack was a great friend to the players and treated us like the adults we thought we were. Each year, Jack had his hands full with seniors afflicted with senioritis. My senior years, the salty old veterans included me, George Casey, Mark McGoldrick, and Paul Medwar. It was a foursome which provided great balance. Med and I were tall and quiet. Goldie and Casey were short and loud. Med played third, and he was responsible for Goldie and left. I played short, and I had to keep tabs on Casey in center. Med and I were responsible for driving the men to score, but not for their actions on the whole. At least that's how I remember it. My success in team sports has provided me with unique opportunities to develop leadership skills and confidence in myself. My experiences at Winchester High School provided me with a solid foundation for any success I have achieved. I am flattered by your nomination and acceptance into the Winchester High School Sports Hall of Fame. I've always been proud of the rich winning tradition of Winchester High School, but most of all, I'm proud of the character and in the integrity of the teammates and coaches I had the pleasure of being associated with. The author, Thomas Wolfe, once wrote, "You can never go home again." Well, I believe he was wrong. Winchester will always be my home, and I will always be comfortable at home with my family and friends. Tonight proves that you can go home again as long as you're proud of the home you came from. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Good night. Hope to see you next year.